Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming out today. Snowy day, but most of you are from around here, so you're very familiar with it. My name is Angela Brandman. I'm Assistant Professor of Theater Arts Management here at Ithaca College. Most people say, oh, that's fantastic. You do all of that great backstage stuff. You get to work with the actors and costumes. Actually, no. I teach all of what I say is unglamorous, and if we're doing our job really well, you don't know we're there. That's what my students do, approximately 40 undergraduate students in a cohort program. So the systems I'm going to talk about today have really allowed us to streamline our program and the students learning the reflection component you talked about with the e-portfolio and managing that as well, individualizing their portfolio. So I'm going to talk about two different systems, and I have one colleague in this area, so just the two of us actually manage it. And before I move forward, I want to highlight our ITS folks here. The staff is unbelievable, the staff who organize this, but who help us actually make this happen, because I am probably the least skilled technophile you will find. I absolutely love this stuff, and I'm the first one who will crash it. So Marilyn and her staff have been incredible at making this happen for us. So let's first start with Wiki sites. What's a wiki? Anybody want to tell me what's a wiki when you hear that word?
Quick.
Quick, okay. How do you use it on the web?
Collaboration.
Well, collaboration, exactly, and that's what we were trying to get to. Thank you, absolutely. It's quick, it's collaborative, and it's organic. So, my element of surprise is living over here in the picture. So, of course, we know this, right? All of us are living this, and Ithaca College actually revised the mission statement to include being sustainable. That is a college mission. It is certainly a mission for me in terms of theater management. We love to generate documents. It's what we do. It's the unglamorous part. And truly, this is what it felt like for so long. We have students who are operating in any number of areas of management in the theater at one time. So our students, for example, will run the front of house operations, ticketing, concessions, front of house management, meaning running the seats, patrons, programs for a 550-seat theater and a 284-seat theater, as well as a 50-seat studio black box. So they're in charge of a lot, and when you're managing all of that, you're generating so much documentation. Inventory sheets for concessions, reports, reconciliation of the drawers in the ticket office. And this was just accumulating. We had binders and binders and binders of it, and in fact, it was taking up half of our very small management room where the students worked. So my colleague and I were really trying to get ourselves out from under this. Additionally, you lose that interactive component because people are just trying to find the right document. Also, what we found in the last couple of years is that the document is outdated. You can't change it if you're just constantly trying to pull that file. And of course, our students being incredibly savvy, just as an aside, I see such a difference between seniors and freshmen, even in their ability and what they expect in terms of web-based and internet usage. The freshmen now probably wouldn't be able to find a document, wouldn't know what you're talking about if you said, go to the file cabinet to pull inventory report so you can see how inventory is done at concessions. They wouldn't really know what you're talking about. And I'm not being facetious, that's really true. They expect to find it somewhere on a shared drive, which is where we went then with the Wiki. So our students then, working on the Wiki, we really wanted to get them organized, get my colleague and I, Susie Monaghan, organized as well, because again, two people, those of you who are teaching, most of you in the room, that's not very many people to organize a major of 40 students. So there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts because those students are working in that theater. They are the professional management staff. That is their practicum, that is their lab. They take 3 for credit. Most of them do as many 6 of those practicum components. Again, inventory, concessions, ticketing, house management, marketing. They're doing any number of those at any one time. And so of 40 people, we have at least half of them doing those jobs. So how do we organize the job description? How do we organize the documentation that is coming out of that? And so we worked a few different systems that didn't really work. One is Blackboard. Some of you work on that. It works fantastically for class, but it didn't really work for what we were trying to get to organize the material so all the students could get to it. Because remember, half those students, about 20, are enrolled in the practicum. It's their lab. So then we had to finagle to enroll the other students who were not technically enrolled in the class at the time, which, as you can imagine, administratively caused all kinds of other issues. So we still wanted something, too, that my colleague and I were not just the administrators. We still were doing so much with the work. And we said, is there a way that the students could be accountable for these documents that they're generating so that they are available to them, they're available to the next student who will come occupy that practicum, learn how to do it from the students who had already been there. The other issue with our program is that students have these practicum positions each semester, so by the time they really get good at it, they're finished. They're going to move on to a new one. So the learning curve is incredibly steep at the beginning of a semester, from semester to semester. So again, those students having access to organized documentation, a way that the student coming new to the practicum can see how it was done in the past. Also, there's a measure of accountability because the students are helping us manage that. I'll get there in just a moment. But further then, we wanted to archive what we were doing. That was another issue. Students would graduate, and what we were starting to learn as everything was on someone's hard drive, everyone, meaning those seniors 4 or 5 years ago, starting to put everything on a computer, they were leaving, they were graduating with all that information. So we lost a lot of that archive. And what we found was we had these binders and binders and files of really outdated material when we went to create the wiki. It was a lot of work in the beginning. My colleague notes it here. She sent me with notes along today, which is absolutely true. Again, our ITS folks helped us so much to get over that hump, the work in the beginning, what we were looking at, and essentially we started all over, and it really was worth it, but it took the entirety of last summer to make that happen. So the accountability component is really about our students. So my colleague and I administer the program. We are the administrators, the official two, but the students, because the wiki is fluid, it's organic, the students actually then are putting their own documents. So that inventory sheet for concessions, candy and Cokes, that's on the wiki. The inventory sheets for marketing, how many posters they ordered, how much that cost, and it's all dated. And so we're able to put all of that on there, but the students are actually doing it themselves. So once we initially last summer put a template on there, now the students are in charge of that. And I get so excited because they have done so much more with it than we even thought they would. And they have been so responsible with it. One of the questions we discussed with the staff here is how do we control students from doing anything they want, where you have just rogue students doing whatever or pulling documents off. That has not happened. And in fact, because the students, they want to be accountable to the system, they want to show their work as a level of professionalism, both within the program and to us, their faculty, that they actually have gone through, and over winter break, this was just implemented last fall. Over winter break, one of our students went through and she emailed me and she said, this is kind of unorganized. Can I just tweak the archives a little bit? And I want to play with the agendas. I came back. I didn't look at it for a couple of weeks. I wanted just what she was going to do with it. I came back. I couldn't believe it. I could navigate our own wiki that my colleague and I set up. I could navigate it so much better with this student having taken it on herself to organize it in a way that she thought was better, that was improved and more efficient. We're managers. We really like efficiency and organization. So our students also sort of tend to that. So really pleased with that. That's just one example. And it has been like that, so fluid. The other, in terms of that pile of mail, is all of that digital mail we get every day. How many of you are sitting on a BlackBerry right now with 200 in your inbox, things you know you need to do, unread, urgent, maybe, yesterday, and you're constantly filing this work. This allowed us then to eliminate email. We were sending out dozens of emails every week. just reminders, attachments, again, the inventory sheets, the marketing proofs, attachments all the time, and downloading attachments. And with the wiki, you can view without downloading, which is really exciting because then it's not stuck on there. It lives on Wiki. It's collaborative, everyone can look at it, and in fact, everyone can comment on it. So again, for something like marketing, a poster, everyone can look at that poster. Every student in the program, my colleague and I, it is private. Some of these settings are public, available to everyone at Ithaca College. And in fact, this has worked so well that my colleague has moved her courses to a wiki now, and I'm working on that over the summer to migrate what we're doing in programs to the wiki, so then it's also available to the colleagues, everyone here. But our program, specifically in the theater arts management area, must be private because there's a lot of detailed budget information and a lot of work that our students do want to keep private until they're ready to have the public see it. So for example, that poster, we just had an example this past week. Beautiful marketing piece. They were so excited about the aesthetic, they forgot both the dates of the show and the real title of the show. It was incorrect. So they don't want that out in the world for their other IC profs to see it. So it's a great place to keep it, for us to comment, to share that, and then move forward. And then finally, that's that organic component that I get really excited about because it can move, it can change, documents can be deleted, they can be uploaded, and anyone is doing that at any time. Also, it allows us to revise the program. From year to year, we have different goals. We change, we're trying to always, as I'm sure most in the room, making our program more rigorous. So we go back and look at the language of the goals for freshman year, for sophomore year, and we say, oh, that doesn't really work anymore. We want it to be this. So we archive it. My colleague and I can archive that with a private setting so that we then have our own templates, again, living on the shared drive. And then the students can just see what's been updated. So it's this living, breathing kind of organic, it's just really cool because you can just work with it all the time, and it's changing and moving, and it's really reflective, going back again to that reflective component, what is actual, what is right now, and it has really raised the level of professionalism with our students, and they like the urgency and the currency of working this way. They have just been thrilled. And then finally, with the wiki, a lot of our students are going into theater specifically and other live entertainment. And as you know, the budgets are quite slim and continue to diminish in those areas. So what they're looking for is interns who can actually do project management in this way. Not only work in a wiki type of system or a shared drive kind of way, in a collaborative way, but also implement it. And so our students have actually been put on projects for the summer. A couple of them have actually been given projects where the internship supervisors have already said, right now in the spring semester, tell me more about that wiki, how does that work, can we share our stuff with other theaters, how can we do this so it's more efficient? And then finally, with the marketing pieces, it's very easy to migrate to Twitter and Facebook and the social media marketing because, again, it's organic. You can change it, it's uploaded, it's new every time the student makes the revision. I see that revision as an administrator, so again, that's that accountability in terms of any student going rogue, if you will. We can see who's doing what, and then the students take those images or those video clips and migrate them then to the social media. Much, much smoother transition than it used to be living on somebody's hard drive again. And then ePortfolio, we'll look at a couple of these. We'll look at our wiki site and we'll look at our ePortfolio. But ePortfolio is essentially the same. This is a very small group of our students, and we're trying to figure out a way to individualize them, again, in a sea of resumes that most theaters are going to be getting. In slender times, we wanted our students to have this piece that really individualized them in that process. So most of the time, they are called the TAMs. They are often theater arts management students. They are often referred to as a group because they are a cohort. So we had to get them out of that and figure out a way where they could really develop a persona, if you will, online so that anyone could access and really see who is this one person within this very professional, self-initiating group of students doing this kind of management work. So we had the individualized component. Again, like the wiki, it can be archived. Unlike the Wiki, you can't turn off and on different areas, and that may just be our particular content management system. But right now, what we work with, we can't turn off the individual areas. But what's great about it is the student can then take a resume, upload a new one, but at least they have it. I know we've all experienced this, students certainly, where their computer crashed, my laptop was stolen, etc., and you lose all of that. So this is a place online that they actually can go back to replicate if something actually does happen to their original documents, which has been a lifesaver. We do a very thorough advisement period in the spring semester, and they also are able to document what they've been doing in terms of portfolio, like an actual portfolio with visual work, resume, essays, writing samples, marketing pieces, again, visual stuff most of the time, visual material, but it's all in one place. And a couple of students, of course, with 40 people, something's going to happen to those documents. And they've been so pleased that they've been able to go back to what's online. It takes a little bit of work, but they can pull it and then recreate it or revise it from what they already have archived. It's an organized place, we'll look at that. And again, it's through Ithaca College, so they all look the same. The student portfolios look very much like my own in terms of how the content is uploaded. I really like this. Some of the students don't like it. They say it's not very creative. I love it because it has a very management aesthetic. You can be creative with what you put on there. You can be creative with content, but you're not changing fonts. There's no funky whirligigs. I actually like that because there's a measure of professionalism, and it also allows me to create the assignment for those freshmen coming in. They have to create this e-portfolio, and they have a deadline to do it as a draft. It allows me to give them parameters that I think otherwise would be hard to do if it wasn't so streamlined. So I like that it's through the college. ITS is the service component, so they actually work with us to teach workshops even to the students and help us if we have problems getting material uploaded, which we never do. But there is just that one downside that the students don't find it as creative as other systems that do an e-portfolio kind of piece. And then finally, it's organic as well. We talked about that. So this is the Wiki site. When you create the Wiki, and again, we work with the folks here, being the technophile without all that skill set, I rely heavily on ITS to really get me over that hump. So they are mentoring me essentially, and I'm learning too at the same time how to do this and how to do it better and how to do it more efficiently. There's that word again because I love it. You have to invite the students, and it's a process, and it's just a 1-2 step process where the students are actually invited to join this site, and they have to use their Ithaca College email address right now. And again, a lot of students are migrating to Gmail, so they get a little fussy about that, but it works so well. And again, it's professional. Everyone is the same. Everybody has the ithaca.edu email address, and it works so efficiently for the Wiki. So you see, news, read here first. This was a huge transition, again, with that emailing, the constant emailing, constant attachment, sending. We're able to then do this and then, again, update it frequently. So either my colleague or I will do this. The students actually don't do news. They will submit news to us, and this was something that we didn't want them putting everything on. They're involved in any number of other theater projects. They promote brands. They do all kinds of things to build their skill set, and we didn't want this to become essentially a dumping ground, a shout-out box, if you will. We said Facebook's great for that. This is really for what you're doing at Ithaca College and what you're doing to build your professional resume and your professional portfolio. So that took care of so much emailing. I belabor that point because there was just so much emailing going on that this just has given me so much more time to actually do other parts of the program, to really improve other parts of the program, because I'm not communicating with them that way. The agendas are part of their requirement. Again, these are for the students in practicum, so they have to update what they're doing all the time, and they have to have it in by 5 p.m. on Monday. But again, they have to have it in by 5 p.m. on Monday, so I can see that they're actually doing something and working towards their project, so that they're making progress. But it being organic, they actually can go and change it, and often they do. And so it gives me a way to check to make sure they're actually not doing everything at the last minute, that they're working progressively towards the assignment, but they also are able to upload and change it. And often during the meetings that will happen. The meeting used to have no agenda. When I first came here, there was no agenda, and they just kind of went around the room and people would share what they were doing, and it was not business-like. And so this really helped us get to a place where it was very business-like. So just to give you an idea, this is one of our agendas. Our marketing associate who leads the marketing team, she puts up, she used full sentences. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It's also a place for me to remind them, make sure you're spelling things correctly. Please put proper names in capitals. As you know, this is a generation migrating away from that because it's the Twitter and Facebook that allows you so easily not to check on those things. So it's also just this way that I can look at that they actually are spelling people's names correctly, that the name of the show, the entire title of the show is on there. So it really allows us to work that way. And you can tell some are a little more professional than others. This one, Ithaca preview article to be coming out soon. Maybe not so professional, but what they're trying to do is underline that we have been hounding this person to make this happen. So yes, 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 it's going to happen soon. Telling you this, and so on. So we would scroll down, we would see all those practicum positions. Looks like about 1 more minute to show the e-portfolio. Okay.
And Q&A.
So that's the Wiki, again, managing the program with the Wiki, and then within that, that group of students working collaboratively in the Wiki, going then to their e-portfolio, so that everything they're doing at Ithaca College as a theater arts management student doesn't mean they're necessarily going to put writing samples from their English course. It's going to be writing samples like a press release that they have done for theater arts management lives here. So the students have a lot of freedom. I don't give them any parameters in terms of what they actually are going to put on, and partly because we're really experimenting with this, and it's just been 2 years now, and I really kind of wanted to see what they would come up with, because if I gave them parameters, that then diminished that creativity even further. And what I find is that some of them do just a fabulous job. This is one of our all-stars, really, Will Van Asdale. He really desires to be an entertainment lawyer. I think we will see him doing that. He will be at Santa Fe Opera working this summer, and he has used this so well to show what he's been doing. So Will there with his picture in the theater, he has this beautiful piece in his resume. He worked at the Shakespeare's Globe Theatre in London on study abroad last semester. So he's highlighted that as his first piece. And something I always talk to them about is how verbose they are. I don't know how students who can write in 140 characters do this, but they do this. And I think it's because they really feel that it's their one chance to highlight themselves and to show how unique they are. But if employers choose, they actually can go and read so much about this. And we have had internship supervisors. We haven't had people looking for jobs yet contact us, but internship supervisors have asked us to do more of this, and they want to see more of this. So the students actually put the URL in their cover letter, and of course, most cover letters and resumes are PDF. They're sent as an email with PDF, so the URL is hot, and it's fantastic. They link right to it. They can see the resume, again, right on here. It lives on documents. And this, by the way, is why I love Wiki, because you can just view quickly. But here is Will's resume. So it's right there too. And it's just incredibly fluid. And it's been a wonderful tool. We work on their resume all 4 years. They actually submit a resume in the fall as they're creating their e-portfolio. It's their first assignment. It's the first piece I will look at as they're creating that when they come in. So this will be our 3rd year in the fall, and we'll see how that grows and changes. And as I'm doing my own reflection, how I choose to change that. So that's where we are. Again, I think we're a little bit earlier in the process than some of you, but really enjoying it and really seeing these two tools raise the level of professionalism among the students, because there is such a measure of accountability, their name is on it, that it really helps to undergird that professionalism, that we're trying to get them to. So may I take some questions?
Real quickly, is there just one wiki platform for the entire college?
Oh, well,
Or did each program
No,
department pick and choose what they
the
want?
portfolio is actually something that is a homegrown system. For the wiki, we're actually just using Google Sites Team Edition for Ithaca College. Yeah.
And again, that highlights, I love this stuff. I'm not sure the back end to those kinds of questions yet. I feel so lucky because we have such ITS support. They're so gracious, they're so generous with their time, and they're constantly introducing us to new tools. And it's just been amazing because it's the kind of thing I have in my head. I don't know that it exists. And then I go and I ask about it, and the staff there says, oh yeah, let's do this and this and this. And it's so exciting. So for me, I'm working within this paradigm, what Ithaca College has. So I'm fine with that. I love it. This is what exists. That might be my next step. My learning curve is to investigate others, but I'm pleased to use what we have right here. Anyone else? Any more questions?
Did you ever end up using Twitter?
Great question. We use Twitter. I'm not there yet because defining the assignment was the hardest component, so I'm not quite there. And in fact, the baby steps that Professor Down talked about, I think what I'm going to do with Twitter is actually start with the majors. I was talking to Marilyn about using it in my class to require all the students to go to opening nights at different theaters and then to tweet to me, to my account, what was going on, and to also build then exposure for the show. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.